Last episode, British forces launched a decisive offensive in New Jersey. Destroying a militia garrison in Morristown, they began the siege of Fort Johns, the key to northwestern New Jersey. Sending a regiment to reinforce the fort, the Americans are unaware of a British light infantry battalion lying in ambush near the fort. But the small skirmish outside of Fort Johns will snowball into the largest and bloodiest battle in the campaign yet seen. On paper, the Americans should win this battle. The regiment they are sending is about 400 strong, whereas the British light infantry detachment is only about 120 men. But terrain will prove to be the most crucial factor. As the Americans pass the forest on their left, they're caught completely off guard by the light infantry. The Patriots will still have limited fire support from their gunboats on the Delaware. With Fort Johns in sight, the American regiment began to form in line of battle. The American regiment consists of 9 companies of infantry, while the British force only appears to be 4. The Patriot goal is to annihilate this small force before making it to the fort.
And then, let's see, I guess this light infantry right here will fire.
But the British know the light infantry strength is the woodland, and they will begin to slowly withdraw into the woods to pull the Americans deeper and deeper into it.
Okay, I was like, oh.
That's how it's going.
I was hoping if I thought...
Jacob's going to go throw some literature toward the British. It's called Thomas Paine's Common Sense.
With both sides not backing down, they will pull the umpire in for clarification on many rules. We'll be releasing an umpire video shortly to discuss what exactly an umpire does, not just in campaigning, but in war games as a whole. But here the Americans are trying to get clarification if their gunboats can fire inland, with friendlies in the way.
You know, I'm
I'm going to roll penetrate.
Okay. Oh,
Penetrate it.
come on, let's hit it.
To the right. I hit my thumb. Can I reroll?
No.
It literally hit my thumb.
No. Hey, use the dice spray we got.
Where is it? Right there.
Right here.
Well, then, table. I'm going to reroll.
No. You can't.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
As you can tell, the gunboat fire was very ineffective.
Surround the wood. We have to kill them.
Nick is correct. Killing off that light infantry would be vital to securing victory in the campaign, and so the American regiment is baited deeper into the trees. But the British have revealed 2 more light infantry companies in the woods, which open fire with devastating results. Seeing that their line infantry have been getting mauled by the light infantry, the Americans have chosen to set the woods ablaze, to hopefully screen their movements with the smoke. The Americans have dispatched half a regiment from Fort Johns to assist the fight.
Oh, fucking gay.
I'm getting the volley off.
As you can hear, the British are getting some very good rolls on this fight, and it is with that the Americans have chosen to completely withdraw. It has been decided that the American regiment that was fighting the light infantry is going to conduct a fighting retreat to Fort Johns, while the American regiment that had just left the fort will begin to guard the ford to allow for an avenue of escape.
It's not in range.
With a sizable American force now condensed near the ford, the British have chosen this as the opportunity to assault Fort Johns.
Because the British are now fully assaulting Fort Johns at this very moment, so we're going to have to increase the board size.
Seeing that the Americans had abandoned some of the works on Fort Johns and were out of position, the British decided to launch their attack from 3 sides, 3 regiments.
All right, gentlemen, continuing on from the previous engagement over there, the British have elected to conduct a full-out assault on Fort Johns as the skirmish on the other side of the river is happening. Let's fight it out.
The British plan for this battle is very simple. Attack Fort Johns on all 3 sides. They believe that because half an American regiment had left the fort, that the fort should only be guarded by the other half. But the Americans may have a surprise in store for them. Knowing that the strategic location of Fort Johns might lead to a battle, the Americans have spent several months preparing its defenses. Not just the fort, but also outer works as well. With the river to their back, the Americans had to be very careful in the deployment of troops. Instead of lumping all their forces into Fort Johns immediately, they decided to shore up the left flank to allow an escape route across the river if need be. And the surprise we mentioned earlier, The British are only aware that there are 2 American regiments in the field, when in actuality there are 3. Inside of Fort Johns is an additional regiment that the Americans are keeping in reserve for the right moment. With the British light infantry having been driven off, the Americans will now redeploy their battered regiment closer to the fort, across the ford. In our game, cover, such as breastworks and fortifications, provide a very large buff for protection against enemy fire, whether that be small arms or artillery. And the Americans are going to take great advantage of this. As the battered American regiment begins to move into position, the British begin their move. The British have brought several pieces of artillery to this engagement, but the Americans have as well. The British have 2 batteries, and the Americans also have 2 batteries. But the artillery advantage will lie with the Americans, as Fort Johns itself is also outfitted with a battery of light artillery on each side.
Canister. All right. Canister from the fort's guns.
Light infantry, or light artillery firing. Let me get the...
And with that, the Americans decide to fire canister down on the advancing British. Being on the high ground, they are sure to hit. With the other regiment now crossing the ford, the Americans will rapidly redeploy them to the right to shore up their right flank, meaning that now the easiest way to take Fort Johns is directly through the center. And the British do indeed attack the center first, meaning that the flanks will be slower to engage. It might not be the wisest for the British to attack an entrenched position like this piecemeal. With ferocity and luck on their side, the British have managed to bayonet charge into the outer works in the center and have driven the Americans off.
Charge your ass. You just climbed up the hill?
He's within like 2 inches of you. Like,
But there's a wall there. A big
yeah, that's why he's not moving.
No, it's an earthen fort. You can.
Oh, so
You can scale that shit.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Having taken the initial works in the center, the British will now move up Fort Johns proper. Being only an earthen fort, all they have to do is climb up it.
So what bonus will we get if I charge it down?
Charge down here. Whoa!
Baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
By this point, both sides in the center have taken extreme casualties. But the British feel they are on the cusp of victory and believe that the American center, the fort, is almost broken. And so they will continue to feed more men into the meat grinder. However, only the British left and American right flanks have been engaged. The other flank hasn't been engaged at all. As the battle is about to reach its climax, I have chosen to take this as a moment to pause and to get a mid-battle briefing from each of the commanders.
General Waller, how do you think the situation is going for you?
Well, I've led them in their center. I've yet to engage on the right flank, which so far they're pretty well compacted in there. So I'm looking to move my gunboats, start putting more rounds down on their congealed men there. Just hold the wall as best I can. I still have 3 more regiments plus my elite infantry inside the fort, so even if they do manage to get a foothold on the walls, it won't last long. I would like to take my center breastworks at this point in the fight of what they have in the center. It wouldn't provide too much to me to retake that, so it's better just to keep my forces contained for now, not to get them in the fight as much as possible, so that I can maintain that reserve. Whereas he has not decided to make keep any reserves, so he is completely incapable of maneuvering as the situation changes for him. See, we've withdrawn from Newark, we've withdrawn in other places. This is the spot we've been waiting for to take our stand. This entire campaign has led up to this moment here to hopefully break their backs in the north and go on the offensive.
General Worthington, how is the overall situation going? What are you thinking here? What's your plan?
Currently, like any fortress siege is, it's going to be rough. It's going to be bloody. We've taken some blows. I think we've given some back in kind. I think our distraction from earlier worked great. As you can see, that's his flank is still nothing, which is ideal. We're really expecting that we're probably going to take some losses by the end of this, but I think, as you can see, we've breached the defenses already to some degree. It's going to be rough fighting, as it always is, but I think our grenadiers will chew through them once we get where we want. Cannons are starting to fall, and I think from there we'll just... I think we're too far in. I think we've sunk our teeth in. I don't know what he'll do. He claims to have bodies to continue throwing at us. That just seems like a loss of, British citizen lives that are just clearly misguided. So.
And I know, unfortunately, General Colvin can't be here today. Has he given you any instruction or any guidance as to the current situation?
Yes. But by and large, he's recommending we continue pushing up the center. Because if we can take the forge itself, and perhaps turn the guns on its own end, so to speak, more to us, less to them. Because once we remove the remaining medium cannon, for sure, by and large, we should have superior firepower on the battlefield. And I don't know if there's much you can do about it at that point.
Very good. Well, God save the king.
Well, yes.
All right, back to it.
All right.
Clearly, both sides believe they have the advantage over the other. The British think that the American center is broken, and that they have no more bodies to throw. But the Americans believe that the British have no more reserves, and they are correct. And with that, the Americans are about to reveal their trump card. The British will now send all remaining forces into the center. With victory now in their grasp, the British begin rushing over Fort John's walls, and are met with the American Reserve Regiment.
Full kill a unit, then to allow a unit to be at 4 beats and get off the table.
Can this artillery battery fire on anything in front?
That's a hit. I got you.
Yep.
They're ready. Four hit.
Here.
Yep. A center unit here.
Fire.
That's going to be canister.
Canister. Okay.
Six.
Damn. 2 damage. I got it. This one.
Yep.
That's 25%. Yeah.
Three.
And it's 1 damage.
Okay.
1 damage to the color company right here.
As you can tell, with these high rolls, the Americans are dealing some serious damage. With the British right flank being pummeled by artillery, it is realized that the British left flank has completely collapsed, meaning that their center is the only component of their army still engaged.
No, but that is...
You did lose a bead there.
Yeah,
Did I? Please feel free to repeat him.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, melee. General is 5 to 6.
Infantry!
Does he get to fire off his pistol into him first?
Hell no.
Okay. 5.
Cool, so I'm good.
You locked in, actually.
In the midst of the fighting, a single British company has managed to slip past American lines, and they are trying to engage their regimental commander. But it turns out he's going to put up a pretty stiff fight. The American commander will not like this very much, and will demand compensation for this act of brutality.
If I fire into routing men,
No.
they're gone, they're dead.
Yes.
Okay. Charge them. Charge these in the beat down.
Well, they're not routing.
They're not routing, but what if I did? Fuck. Dead gone.
Man, you don't believe in taking prisoners, huh?
British. They've violated our people. Our women. Burned our
We have
children.
never...
6.
Jesus. Dude, are you sure you don't got way to die over there?
You gonna take them?
Not really.
Range to
What's that, 3
Are
6s
they
in a row now?
Can they be charged?
Bros, if I...
You get it plus half your movement speed going downhill, so
Yes.
I would say so.
All right. Yeah. Then.
With the Surprise Reserve Regiment in action, the British are completely beaten back, and now they begin to rout from the fort en masse. And seeing the initiative on his side, General Waller has elected to begin a counterattack, trying to kill as many fleeing British troops as he can. Meanwhile, on the Delaware River, the American gunboats are still in action, providing fire support for the advancing Americans.
I got you.
Lead, you British dogs! Can they hit that? No. Okay. This unit's gonna fall back into the fort. This unit's gonna fall back into the breastworks.
And with a few more artillery salvos, thus ends the Battle of Fort John's. This battle was very bloody for both sides, the biggest we've had in the campaign so far. But the British will suffer a tactical defeat here, as they cannot replenish their troops as easily as the Americans. With the defeat at Fort Johns, the British have retreated back to Morristown, and though it looks like they might not be combat effective for the rest of the year, they will still be very effective in the war of propaganda.
And what are your current orders for week 4 November?
Week 4 of November. Currently, it's honestly until I'm going to get colder from this point. Our attack failed, so currently I think we're going to fall back to Morristown. Attempt to replenish anything we can. We may have to make some decisions involving certain regiments going forward, but I believe that's a decision perhaps a little later on in winter. How we still remain vigilant. For our two big decisions here, for our diplomatic.
Yep, diplomatic roll.
We'd like to share the story of the horrors of the American soldiers that while on the battlefield surrendering, soldiers were butchered. They had attempted to surrender many chances on the battlefield. They could have just simply captured the prisoners, released them, whatever, but they butchered them where they stood. We, the British, would never do such a thing.
All right, Americans. Week 1, December. Congratulations on your successful defense of Fort Johns. The enemy has withdrawn east to Morristown. Enemy skirmishers that you're fighting on the west side of the Delaware have retreated, you believe, northwards.
Unlike the British, the Americans immediately after Fort Johns are going to be very aggressive. First, they're going to reposition one regiment from Fort Johns and move it back down to Trenton. Then, the regiment that is located in Princeton is going to advance north to New Brunswick. The Americans are fully aware of the British cavalry screen to their front, but they do not care. They believe that speed, surprise, and audacity will win them the day.
One thing I have to ask, was this considered a major victory?
I would consider it a victory,
A
for
victory,
sure.
just a-
I wouldn't consider it like a Saratoga level event because you did not, the enemy force, so they, I mean, you know, that's like saying because the British didn't seize Philadelphia in 76, you know, the French decided to join the war. You know what I'm saying? So this is a victory, right? And this is kind of adding to the points of foreign powers looking very positively towards your cause. But the British just attacking a fort and not getting it is not really a thing, right?
Okay.
I mean, and even then, I mean, the fort doesn't even control the whole Delaware,
All right.
you know? So
During this turn, the Americans, just like the British, are going to try to spin some propaganda their way as well.
For that one. Instead, what I would like to do, use the victory at Fort Johns and the ruthlessness of the British Army to send its men into these breastworks and to have themselves fight, force them to fight to the death for their officers and a king across the ocean, to slaughter themselves at the foot of fellow Englishmen for the sake of what the king and parliament wants. We need more men in the fight so that we can secure our independence, so that we aren't slaughtered in ditches like these men were for no good reason.
well, I'd say, okay, riding on the success of your victory and try to spin it as though the king
We're using
mercilessly sent his men to
and
be
we're using
slaughtered.
that as a means to do recruiting.
So this is a recruitment role.
It's a recruitment role.
I'll give you plus 3 points to whatever this roll is.
Okay.
All right. You ain't getting.
What?
Sorry, man.
What was that wrong?
British, December week 1. Your forces have retreated back to Morristown and have bedded down for winter quarters. I will tell you that your cavalry screen here, south of New Brunswick, reports the American cavalry screen being very aggressive from Princeton north.
Aggressive, you say?
Aggressive, as in they do not care to get into an engagement. They are fine with fighting. Do you wish to engage that American cavalry screen?
This is going to be dumb. This may bite me in the ass. I don't want to engage with them at all.
Okay.
I even if that gives up some fields, I think I'd rather them run themselves out in the winter.
Okay.
And keep our horses fresh. It's cold. We're in New Jersey. Maybe some horses up there ends up with frostbite or.
All right, so you're going to bring your screen and pretty much retreat those. Seeing a possible American offensive coming from the south, the British have decided to call back their cavalry screen to trade space for time, and instead had issued orders to their Hessians, which were stationed in Newark, to march south. Another battle may be brewing.
A lot more fighting in New Jersey than I expected.
For how much me and Nick were like, yeah, we're not going to fight in New Jersey. Whole lot of fighting in New Jersey.
With winter beginning to tighten its grasp on New England, the British will begin to start hunkering down in preparation for another fight, but they will still try to gain information. And this is the fun part about being the umpire. I get to lie.
Fort Johns. Has there been any movement of troops out of Fort Johns? Or have they all hunkered down there?
It looks as though the troops are remaining in their positions. It looks as though more troops might have arrived as well.
If you want to see how we got to this point, please check out our previous campaign episodes here. And until next time, generals, get to painting.